Okay, so hello everyone.
Hi.
Today's lesson will be about transportation in Vancouver. Most people, when they come to Canada, they're not going to have a car, and because they don't need a car, they might need to know more about the public transportation that is available in Canada. Right, so we have 4 questions we're going to be answering today. The big ones are, what are the different parts of the Greater Vancouver area? How much does it cost to take public transportation? How do you plan a trip using public transportation? And what are some of the important things to know about etiquette on transit? So first, what do we mean by the Greater Vancouver area? Can anyone name a city in Vancouver area? The one that we're currently in? What city are we currently in? Which city are we currently in? Richmond, okay. So Richmond is one city that is part of the Greater Vancouver area, right? There's a bunch of cities. The first is right here, that's Vancouver. And that's where we are right now, that's Richmond. There's also Burnaby. And Burnaby is important to know in case you're going to Simon Fraser University. That is the city where that is. There's also Coquitlam, New Westminster, Delta, North Vancouver, and West Vancouver. So when people talk about the Greater Vancouver area, or they talk about Vancouver, they usually mean all of these cities. That's about it. Right. And this whole area is serviced by TransLink. That's the public transportation company that you'll be dealing with. And that's how you will get from anywhere you need to in the Greater Vancouver area. So this is a fare zone map, and this is really important if, for example, you are trying to go from Richmond to Vancouver. Has anyone taken one of the SkyTrain lines?
It's on the top of the ground.
Yeah. And where did you take the SkyTrain?
It's near to it's next to the Update Center.
So you just went from...
my father take me to a restaurant by the SkyTrain.
Yeah. Okay, and then it was the Aberdeen SkyTrain station?
It's I'm not sure, but it's next to the Update Center.
Okay, so that would have been the Aberdeen SkyTrain station.
Yeah, maybe.
And that would have all been Zone 2. Zone 2. Zone 2 includes North and West Vancouver, and it includes Richmond and Burnaby. If you need to go to Surrey or Delta, it needs to be a Zone 3 pass. Right? That's only important for SkyTrain. When you take a bus, it's all one zone. And we'll be going over fares shortly. Okay. So this is a SkyTrain. It's a light rail train that you can take to quickly get from Richmond to Vancouver or from Vancouver to Burnaby. Okay. So these are the major SkyTrain lines: the Canada Line, the Expo Line, the Millennium Line. So the Millennium Line is good for getting to Coquitlam, Port Moody, and into Burnaby. And the Expo Line is necessary to get into New West or into parts of Burnaby. And the Canada Line, which is the line that most of you will be taking, can take you from Richmond to Vancouver. Has anyone taken the Expo Line or the Millennium Line? No? Okay, so I have actually never been on the Expo Line or the Millennium Line, and believe me, the most common one you'll be taking is the Canada Line. So this is a bus. This is an example of a not express bus. So some of the buses are express and some of them are not. The ones that are express don't stop at all of the stops, but they'll get there faster. And if you do like to bike, all of the buses allow you to take a bike on the front of them. So you mention to the bus driver that you've got a bike, and he will allow you to attach it to the front of the bus. You can also bring a bicycle on the SkyTrain. Again, the fare zone map. If you're only going to Vancouver on the SkyTrain line, you only need to worry about one zone fare. If you're going to Richmond, there's 2 zones. And if you're going to Surrey and Delta, that's a 3rd zone. And this is the C-Bus. The C-Bus is included, and this is a ferry that will take you from Vancouver Waterfront Station to North Vancouver. So how much does all of this cost? Does everyone here have a concession pass?
1.75.
Yeah, it's 1.75, but does anybody have a Compass card? What color is your Compass card though? Orange. Mine is blue. So students have what are called concession passes, and they're less expensive than an adult pass. So for students, a concession pass, the orange one, will be $53 a month. And the good thing is you don't have to worry about zones at all. So your pass will work whether you need to go to Burnaby, whether you need to go to West Vancouver, whether you need to go to Port Moody, anywhere in the greater Vancouver area. If it has TransLink, with your student pass, you can get there for $53 a month. For adults like myself, you need to pay $93 for one zone, $126 for 2 zones. So because I travel from Vancouver to Richmond every day, I need to buy a 2-zone pass. And that costs me $126 a month, where the concession pass for all of the students will only cost you $53 per month. And if you don't have a concession pass or an adult monthly pass, it's no longer $1.75, it is now $1.80, which is a weird amount. And then for an adult, it's $2.85. And they do not offer change. So if you bring $3, they will not be able to give you 15 cents back in change, or for the student fare, 20 cents in change. Right? So you need exact change to get on the bus if you are paying in cash. But hopefully all of you will buy a concession pass, or already own a concession pass. Right? So here's an example. Here's the orange one that you'll all hopefully buy, which costs $53 a month. And then here's the blue one for adults and university students. When you go to university in the greater Vancouver area, you will not be able to have the student fare. You'll have to move to an adult. So the concession is only for, the orange card is only for high school students. Right? So if you arrive in Canada or you need to buy a new Compass card, you can buy them at the front of all of the train stations. So you have to actually go to a SkyTrain station in order to buy a Compass card. If you're at UBC, you can also buy one. Yeah, and then money is put on the card. You can store money on your card for trips, and that's called your stored value. You can have a stored value of $5 minimum, and you can put as much money as you want. One problem is though, if you have stored value on your card, let's say you want to have a friend travel somewhere with you, and you have a monthly pass, you can't tap with your monthly pass and then use the stored value for your friend. Your friend will need to buy their own Compass card if they're visiting, buy their own Compass card and put their own stored value. You can also buy day passes. So when you have your Compass card, all you need to do is you need to tap it when you go on a bus. And you tap it right on the Compass card logo. One important thing is when somebody in front of you has tapped, you need to wait for the green light to turn on to tap your card, or else what will happen is it'll buzz at you and it won't let you through. The good thing is you don't need to tap out when you go on a bus, but you do need to tap out when you are on the SkyTrain station. If you do not tap out, you'll get charged a 3-zone fare. So if you stay in, if you are only in Vancouver and you forget to tap out on the SkyTrain station, you'll be charged for a 3-zone fare. And then you've got to call and you have to deal with getting your money back because you forgot to tap out. So make sure that you tap out when you leave your SkyTrain station. It's not really possible for you to forget because you have to go through fare gates to get in and out of SkyTrain stations. So again, you tap in, you tap out. So now this is the important conversation. Most of how you use the bus system in Vancouver is very similar to how it is in China. But some of the etiquette might be a little bit different. Right? So I'd like everyone to think for a moment about what they hate the most when they go on a bus. What do you hate the most?
Speak very loud.
Okay, so people speaking very loudly, that is my least favorite thing. Anyone else? Thing you hate the most about taking the bus?
Some people eat on the bus.
Yeah, some people eat on the bus, and it's usually a problem if it smells.
Yeah.
What is the worst food you've had somebody eat on the bus? Right. So I've been on a bus and I was sitting right beside somebody eating tuna.
What?
Somebody was eating tuna out of a can. So tuna is a fish,
Oh.
and they were eating tuna out of a can, and the smell of fish was all over the bus.
The durian.
Durian, okay, that was the next thing I was going to mention. Durian. Durian is a great example of a food that you do not want to be eating on a bus. Even if you like the smell of durian, most people do not like the smell of durian. Any other bad foods?
I've heard of news in China that there is a woman eat things like hot pot on the subway.
Okay. So hot pot, that's hilarious.
It's a bowl of things just like hot pot.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
that's,
how to say that in English, but
it's hot pot.
it's very smelly.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
even though I love this smell, but it's really smelly.
Yeah. And you don't really want to be smelling food mixed with all of the other smells that might be on the bus when you're cramped in a bus. Right? So hot pot is a great example. That wouldn't even be safe to bring on the subway. What if the subway stops abruptly? Some surprising food that some people really do not like the smell of is banana. If somebody ate a banana on the bus, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But there are a lot of people that have a problem with the smell of bananas. And then even oranges. I love the smell of oranges. And I think that everyone loves the smell of oranges. But there are some people that don't like the smell of oranges. So it's nice to avoid eating food on the bus altogether, especially ones that smell, even if you think it smells good, because some people might not like it. So we're going to go through some of the big offenders, the pet peeves. A pet peeve is it's like a dog that you have, a pet, but it's something you hate, and it's something that you take care of like you do a pet, but you just hate it. That's a pet peeve. So a pet peeve on public transit is being a blocking bunny. And this is somebody who stands in front of the door and doesn't let people get out. So etiquette, and I'm sure it's the same in China, is that you let everyone get out before you get in. Is that true? Is that etiquette in China?
Don't let people get out, or
Yeah, so it's bad to not let people get out before you try to get in.
is not very. In China it's not very. I only met this situation for 1 or 2 times.
Okay, so it's the same rule here in Canada then. You don't stand in the way and try to push your way into the bus or the SkyTrain when people are trying to leave. I've only seen it occasionally, and every single time somebody has done it, they were yelled at. So please don't be a blocking bunny. This is something that we really don't like. So when you're getting on the train or the bus, you let other people get off first and then you move in. This is easy for the bus because you're supposed to enter at the front of the bus and you leave at the back of the bus. So there's a flow, and you're not getting on the back of the bus, so you don't need to worry about being a blocking bunny on a bus usually. But it is a problem with the SkyTrain. And sometimes it happens accidentally, where you were just standing there and then out of nowhere you're blocking a bunch of people and you're stuck and everyone's giving you a bad look. Sometimes you'll run into that problem. When you're at the SkyTrain, you'll notice that people are lining up in 2 lines with a space about this big between them. That's because they know where the SkyTrain door is going to be. So you want to line up behind one of those lines and you'll do fine. If there's no seats, don't stand in front of the door. You want to move to the side, because people are going to be moving in and out of the bus, possibly. And if you're standing there, you're going to have to pick up your bags. You're going to have to move around. You're going to have to step around them. They're going to have to say, "Excuse me." So best place to stand on the bus is at the back of the bus, all the way at the back. And if you're wearing a big backpack, this is important. If you're wearing a big backpack or you have anything over your shoulder, take it off and put it on the floor between your feet or off to the side. Because what happens is when you turn around or you get knocked by the bus stopping, you're going to hit somebody with your bag and you can knock them over. That's not such a big problem for the people in this room, but for me, when I hit somebody, it's not very nice, right? So please take your bags off. Right. Here's 2 more big pet peeves: being a crowdy kitty and a birdie big bags. Right. So this one is one that I'm guilty of. I often carry 2 or 3 bags, and the bags end up in the way. And a crowding kitty, that one's almost the exact same as the blocking bunny. Right? This is where you don't go to the back of the bus. Remember, the best place to be standing is all the way at the back. So, don't be a crowding kitty or a birdie big bags. That means don't take up unnecessary space. So remember, if you're wearing a bag, you want to take it off of your shoulder and you want to put it on the floor between your legs. That way, nobody can trip over it because it's between your legs. Especially don't use the bus seat for your bags, right? So don't do this. Right? Even though I'm guilty of that, don't do it. If possible, you want to put the bags under the seat or off to the side. That's best because then they're fully out of the way. When it is very busy, try to find a place to stand that allows others to walk past. That's again, don't be a blocking bunny. Don't stand by the door. Stand at the back of the bus. So I'll ask, is anybody guilty of any of these pet peeves? I'm guilty of being a birdie big bags. Which one are you guilty of sometimes?
I think I never did them.
You never do them? Okay, so you're a saint. You're never guilty.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever accidentally been guilty of being a crowding kitty, a birdie big bags, or a blocking bunny? All right. I'll be honest again. I've also accidentally been a blocking bunny. All right, so here are the ones that we talked about beforehand. Right? This is being a disco dog and a hungry hamster.
Disco dog.
A disco dog, yeah. So, some people, very rudely, they'll listen to music really loudly. And even if you think your music is the best music in the world and everybody should be listening to it, most people don't want to be listening to it. So, my favorite type of music is rock and roll. All right? I'm pretty sure none of you like rock and roll. You like rock and roll? Perfect. So that's 25% of the class likes rock and roll. Right? What's your favorite type of music? Does anyone have a favorite type other than rock and roll? Rap? Folk?
Yeah.
Right? Hip hop? Right? I really dislike rap music.
Why?
I really don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it.
I like it so much.
But some people might say the same for rock and roll. They might really dislike it. They don't have a real reason for disliking it. They just don't want to hear it. So it's really nice to put your headphones on so you're the only one who gets to enjoy your fantastic music. All right. So, part of being a disco doggy is when you're talking really too loudly with your group of friends. So sometimes when you go on the bus, you'll have 4 or 5 people, and you don't think you're being loud, but because everyone's talking and the bus is vibrating and it's making noise, you're actually yelling. And when you're having a conversation, you're having a really good time. You're enjoying it, but nobody else is enjoying it. And this is another big pet peeve of mine. This is my biggest pet peeve. When people talk really loudly on the phone. I don't know why I dislike it so much, but they'll be talking really loudly on their phone, and sometimes they even have their speakerphone on, so I can hear the other person on the other line. And as interesting as their conversation can sometimes be, I don't want to listen to it. Right? So, avoid talking on the phone really loudly. Sometimes you get a call and you have to answer it. But you don't always have to answer it. You can call them back. If you're with a bunch of friends and you think you're being too loud, you say, hey guys, I think we're being too loud. We should keep it down. Be polite. Don't be a disco doggy. And if you're listening to music, always use your headphones. Don't have portable speakers. Don't have a boom box on your shoulder listening to the music. Because most people don't want to listen to it. Right? And then when you have food, even food that you don't think stinks, or food that you think is really delicious smelling, wait until you get off the bus before you eat it. Right? That way you don't have to worry about somebody who doesn't like the smell of bananas. And you're upsetting their day. Right? And this is especially true for foods like durian or tuna. Nobody wants to smell tuna. Right? So today we talked about the different cities that make up the Greater Vancouver area. We also talked about how much it costs to use public transit. Does anybody remember how much it costs per month for the concession pass? Yep, $53 per month.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the important number. It's $53 per month. You won't remember the adult price until you have to pay it, but it's $92 for a one zone pass and $123 for a two zone pass. Right? So we also learned about how to plan a trip and some basic reminders of transit etiquette. Right? So the key is, if you don't like it on the bus, chances are other people don't like it either. So you don't want to be a blocking bunny, a birdie big bags, a disco dog, or a hungry hamster. So thanks very much. Have a good day.